Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the video. This is my video series where I talk about Classic World of Warcraft dungeons. We go over a bit of the history, the bosses, the loot, and then at the end of the video, I talk about my ideas for a Classic Plus version of the dungeon. So today, we're talking about Razorfen Kraul, home of the Quillboar. Quick history of Razorfen Kraul. Home to the Quillboar and the Barrens, obscured by thorns that grew from the corpse of demigod Agamaggan. Agamaggan fought the Burning Legion 10,000 years ago during the War of the Ancients, helping save Azeroth. Where Agamaggan's blood fell, giant thorns grew from the ground. Quillboar are thought to be mortal descendants of Agamaggan, protecting the sacred thorny grounds. The Kraul, mostly taken over by the crone Sharlga Razorflank, staging attacks against rival tribes as well as the Horde. So, this is like the home of the Quillboar. They worship Agamaggan, that's their god. He fought the Burning Legion, saved Azeroth. Pretty cool lore actually for this dungeon. I kind of overlook this dungeon a lot, but having read the lore, it's fun. Doing these videos I get to learn a little bit about everything, and I found that this was, a lot cooler lore than I expected for a big thorny bush in the Barrens. So, there you go. So the first boss, you got the Shaman, Rugug. So this boss is a little off the main path, but is a part of a warrior quest to get some pretty cool warrior gear, so definitely worth it if you're a warrior. The Boar Spirit, Agam Thorn Curse, Prophet of Agamaggan. I don't know, every time I say that, Agamaggan, I feel like I'm saying a tongue twister. But this boss summons a spirit boar to aid her in battle. The Captain, Death Speaker Jargaba, a prophet whose beliefs revolve around their fallen god being risen from the dead. The Warrior, Overlord Ramtusk, commander of the Death's Head military forces, bearing scars from many battles. The Boar, Agathalos, the Raging, an armored boar who acts as a mini-boss, but has some pretty cool loot. And then the leader, Sharlga Razorflank, leader of the Death's Head and Razorfen tribes. So now we're going to dive into the loot. There's actually some pretty cool loot from this dungeon. I don't know why, I overlook this dungeon all the time, but it's a cool place. So the Death's Speaker Scepter, a cool little priest mace, the Pronged Reaver, a little a one-handed axe with some strength and spirit. The Corpse Maker, that's the two-handed axe, 15 strength, 8 stamina, nice slow speed, great for warriors and paladins. The Tuscan Helm and Ferine leggings. Now, I don't think these have any business being greens. I think these should be blues, but that's just my personal opinion because the level 28 mail helm with 9 strength and 8 agility, and it looks badass, I think that deserves to be a blue. Same with the pants. I feel like those are good stats for a level 29. Swine Tusk Shank, a little dagger, Heart of Agamaggan, a shield, and then Agamaggan's Clutch, a ring. So, nice little set of loot. I think, if you're a warrior, a rogue, this is definitely a good dungeon to do, especially with the Corpse Maker and the legs and the helmet. So, nice little selection there. So, ideas for Classic Plus. So, I think new weapons would be really cool in Razorfen Kraul. So I think a Thorn Dagger would be cool for rogues. There is that, let me just reverse, that Swine Tusk Shank right there, but I don't think you'd really use that as a rogue because it's stamina and spirit. If that was like agility and strength or just agility or something cool like that, I think it'd be a lot more beneficial. So I think it'd be cool and in line thematically if you had like a dagger that looked like a thorn, and I think that'd be cool. A staff would be really cool for the other caster classes. And then some more notable cloth drops. So you have the really cool chainmail helmet, you have the leather legs, so I think rounding it off with a really nice cloth armor drop, I think that would kind of round off the gear and make it more desirable for all classes to want to go do it. So an unlockable boar companion maybe at the start, it unlocks a chain that ends up in Razorfen Downs, unlocking a boar mount that goes 40%. So I had this idea where have more common mounts that are easy to get. So like a quest chain that starts in Razorfen Kraul, ends in Razorfen Downs, maybe you get a little boar companion at the beginning, and then at the end you get a boar mount. But because that mount was easy to achieve, it doesn't go as fast as, say, a level 40 60% mount. So I figured this would be a nice way to kind of ease into a speed buff, right? You have a lot of classes that do have little speed buffs, and I think this would just kind of like round off and make it just a more universal speed buff for everybody, and maybe a level 30 mount or a 35 mount, just to kind of like set people up going into 40. So ideas for Classic. Talk to the Spirit of Agamemnon, similar to the Cataclysm quest, where it rewards you with gear. I think reading the lore, I just thought it seemed like way too important and way too cool to just kind of like not have a quest chain that gives you something really badass. Like, he's this demigod that fought the Burning Legion, helped save Azeroth. Like, that seems pretty important to me. So I figured, you know, a quest where you do some stuff with the spirit of him, get a piece of gear. I thought that would be, you know, kind of cool. And then obtaining an item / weapon / armor from Razorfen Kraul that you can upgrade in the Downs after completion. So because the two dungeons are, you know, thematically connected, Razorfen, you know, Kraul and Downs, I thought it'd be cool if you get, you know, a lower level item from the Kraul that you eventually use and bring into Downs and upgrade it, say after you defeat the Lich. I had this idea and I thought it'd be cool to apply it to, you know, Scarlet Monastery, Razorfen Kraul, Dire Maul, these dungeons that are connected. It'd be interesting to have an item that you kind of carry over, and it's a bit of a storyline, right? Where you go to these different dungeons that are connected thematically, lore-wise, and it just helps you get a little more invested in the story, a little more invested in the armor or the gear, and everyone likes upgrading things, so I thought that'd be cool. And then summon an extra boss or an extra area, something involving the Burning Legion. I thought it would be cool because in line with Agamemnon's lore, and the Burning Legion is pretty important in World of Warcraft lore. I feel like it's kind of a shame. We get to experience Burning Legion stuff, you know, in further expansion packs, but if we're doing a Classic Plus scenario where we're evolving the game, we can take these lore bits and we can include them in Classic Plus, right? So whether that's, you know, in the future you go through the Dark Portal and it's just Hellfire, or there's just a little zone on the other side, just kind of like this extra thing. I'm pretty sure that was originally planned for Classic, to go through the Dark Portal and not be like this full, you know, Outlands, but it's in line with, you know, a Classic ethos, right? So I think the Burning Legion, there's a lot of room to do some cool stuff with that, at least, you know, even if it's small. You know, with the lore of Agamemnon and the Burning Legion and him fighting the Burning Legion and helping save Azeroth, I don't know, it just seemed like, you know, this seems a little too important to just write off or just have some, you know, little lore on the side. So those are my ideas for Razorfen Kraul. I hope you liked the video, hope you liked the dungeon. Historically, this isn't one that I typically do a lot for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I usually play Alliance and it's out of the way, but, you know, the loot's really good. I think there isn't too much they need to do to this dungeon to add to it. There's definitely opportunity to add things, spice it up, make it feel new, like I mentioned, but I think overall this is a fairly solid dungeon. But if they just added a bit of loot, you know, rounded off that for the other classes, maybe a new quest or just a new area, a new branch, I think that would really help in making things feel new and making people want to do this dungeon in a Classic Plus, because they want to experience something new and something different, right? In each of these videos, I try to think of lore accurate ways to, you know, upgrade the dungeon or change it a little bit just to make it a little more interesting. So comment below what you think would be good for Razorfen Kraul, because I honestly had a hard time thinking of additions for this dungeon, because I thought it was so solid. So yeah, let me know below. Comment if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, give it a thumbs down. Tell me why you didn't like it. I really want to improve these videos, make them better for you. So yeah, until I see you in the next one, thank you so much for coming by. I appreciate you watching the video, and have a great day.